Welcome to our Brothers in Conversation podcast, powered by Jesse and Shondell. Shondell, you are from?
Bed-Stuy, do-or-die, Brooklyn. That little town.
That's a little town. That's nothing like Hawthorne, Nevada. Population 5,000 cats and dogs. All right, let me hear your best voice. What do you got for me?
I don't have a best voice. It's just me.
Shondell, do me a favor. Let me hear your best guy impersonation.
Oh, boy.
My best guy impersonation is this. The words, let me see if I got this right. The disclaimer is the views and opinions of Guy Martin are not necessarily those of Martin Harris Construction.
There was a time, and it's not too far in the distant past, where I would be asked to do speaking engagements. The very first slide was a disclaimer.
Well, I love it. Shondell pulled that off pretty good, didn't he?
He did. You know, I tell people all the time, I graduated Western High School in 1987 and never went to college. So when you ask me things about economics, it's more redneck-economics than it is. So, kind of a glorious collision of everything I've witnessed, not so much of what I've read or ran on spreadsheets.
I'm gonna have to get me some guy time so I can learn some of those unique colloquialisms that you're using.
It's funny. There's actually a collection around here in our office of guyisms.
Okay, guy, stop right there. You are gonna have to come on this. You're gonna have to come back on the program because I never knew that. And guess what? We have Shondellisms and Just Talkisms. We're going to do a program called Guyisms, Shondellisms, and Just Talkisms.
Absolutely.
And by the way, we're going to say it.
I'll share a good one with you. No matter how right you are, you're always more wrong than me. That was one that there's a whole backstory to that we can talk about.
That is so funny.
Oh.
Around that one.
We have got to come back together because I'm not going to name them all, but I've got like 56 Just Talkisms. Shondell's got to have at least 50 or 100 Shondellisms. I know. So that's.
There are some that come out of Shondell that are truly profound. and you know, here's the scary part is I'm 51 years old. I don't even need to go to Brooklyn.
Right.
Man talks about it all the time.
Right, you're right.
Brownstone is. I know what Dad's been through. I know what the family's been through. The whole thing. I mean, Shondell is all there. He's my little Brooklyn right here in Los Angeles.
I like it. Well, team, this was a little green room. We let people see us as we're playing around. I'll go ahead and get it started. Let me just read off our cues here. The title of this program today is Navigating Business Through These Tumultuous Times. Navigating Business Through These Tumultuous Times. It's June 18th, 2020, episode number 28. As you guys have heard with us playing around in our green room, special guest is Guy Martin, president of Martin Harris Construction. We're going to learn more about that in a second. So first off, welcome, Guy, to this presentation with Shondell and I. This podcast is something that Shondell and I have gotten very fond of and good at, and it's nice to have you here on the program. What say you, sir?
Thank you very much. I'm humbled to be here. It's a great program that you guys put together, and I'm always a fan of it. I see it on Facebook. I watch it on Facebook Live when I get a minute, and you guys have always hit on some edgy and sensitive, and then some fun topics. I mean, the whole conversation is all over the map, and that's what I love.
You know, I love what you just said too, Guy. And what I'd like to do, Shondell, let's do our very best with Guy because he's a good player. Let's do our best to create the best volley when we can. Shondell and I tend to be storytellers. We're not going to tell long stories today. We're going to shorten our stories and let's toss the ball back and forth to one another. I think that's what gets viewers and people listening excited when they hear a rhythm going back and forth between the three of us. You guys agree?
Well, I can tell you, Jess, you know, one of the things that Guy and I do extremely well is we have the same conversations that Lisa started this podcast on. Is if Lisa could sit down and listen to Guy and Shondell, she probably would have started brother, and brothers in conversation. So this is going to be the day. Brother, and brothers in conversation.
Before we jump in, I do have to shut my door real quick because the road will get
Okay, go for it.
Okay, you shut your door while I'm going to go and do a little bit of a read of Guy, those that are watching and listening so they get a little bit of backdrop. Give me 1 second. Let me put some of these reminders down out of the way. So just a little backdrop. Martin Harris Construction was founded by Frank Martin in December 1970. let me back up. I'm going to do that over because my voice wanted to stutter. Martin Harris Construction was founded by Frank Martin in December 1976 and was licensed by the Nevada State Contractors Board in February 1977. Since then, MHC has expanded throughout the Southwest and currently operates in Arizona, California, Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada, Texas, and Utah. Wow, that's powerful. Our corporate office is located in Las Vegas, Nevada. So that is pretty powerful. I did not know that Martin Harris was in all those other places.
Jess, let me add some flavor to that. Frank Martin is one of the people who I believe has transcended relationships in Las Vegas. He, and Guy can talk more about this, but Frank is a person who walks the walk and talks the talk. And what I appreciate is how he embraced me into the family. And, we go on a men's retreat every year because one of the first conversations that, Guy and I really, really got engaged in was about our family, about our faith, about our love for our family and a love for our country. So I want people to understand, like, the one thing that is amazing about a guy like Frank Martin is how he's instilled those values into Guy and my father instilled those values into me. I've learned more about Las Vegas and the history of his family, and he's learned a lot from me about Brooklyn. And guess what? We probably both have really, really helped each other to grow as men. So that's one important thing that I wanted to put out there.
That's good. And Guy, I want you to weigh in on what Shondell said in a second, but that's very invaluable information. But I think the thing that really stands out that I think people would love to hear was the connection that you and Shondell have made, Guy, goes well beyond even what he said. There's a vibration, there's an energy level that I've been around the two of you only once in the same room at the same time, and you guys can have a conversation with one another without saying any words.
Yeah, Shondell is. So I've been in the room with Shondell around many people just the same way, and he has a lot of that same dialogue with the room, right? I mean, there's some people that walk in and they sit next to or on the side of the people they were there with. One of the neat things about Shondell is that his spirit enters the room.
Yes.
And he sits with the room.
I agree.
It doesn't matter where you are in the room, front row, center row, back row, hiding in the corner, late walking in, whichever it is. He fills the room. And that's a lot like my father. My father's, I'm going to keep a couple of notes so I don't miss some things. The part about talking about, and it's tough because you don't know the diversity of the group that's listening in.
That's right. That's right.
So just trying to extract from all of these great examples what the catalyst or what the trigger event is, right? The trigger event is that when Shondell walks in, he equally wants to help everyone in the room.
Right. Right.
When I walk in the room, my hope is that everyone in the room is changed when I walk out. And change is not always good. It's not always special. It's not always bottle rockets shooting in the air and the aha to oh shit moments that we all have. It's not that.
No, it's mostly uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, sometimes change is just, you know what, I'm going to hang out in this room that I really didn't want to come here for, and holy crap, they made me smile twice.
Right.
I didn't plan on doing that.
Right.
I was told to show up here. And some of the forums that Shondell and I interact in are more structured, where people are sent there, not choosing to be there. And when you walk in that room where the host is the room is filled with the host spirit.
Yes.
What you end up with is you can't sit there and not be touched.
Oh my God. I love the guy. What you just said is super powerful. And you know what? You're backing your convictions up. I learned from Shondell and Lisa that for you, what you live by is building people before projects.
Yes, sir.
Building people before projects. I absolutely love that. And so this piece that you just shared with, it's so true. I got this opportunity, and again, super short story. I'll leave tons of it out, but I want to relate to you where you're at. And I want the people to hear and see something visual to what Guy just said. Shondell, check this out. So I got this speaking gig a number of years ago to go to Fargo, North Dakota. Okay. And it was for seeds farmer, SEEDS, seeds. And it was 27 seed farmers in a full day workshop, one person and a man from Las Vegas that looks like me with seed farmers from Fargo, North Dakota. I was praying to God, please give me something to relate to these people, let them relate to me. And I talked to God a number of times once I got the engagement, and God didn't answer me all the time preparing for that. And I landed, no answer. I said, God, I'm going to set up the room now. No answer. I said, God, the room's set up. They're going to be coming in. No answer. And when they lined up, and the very first person I went to, it came to me. Memorized their names. Called them by their names. So every single person, 27 of them, I shook their hands, told them my name, and asked their name. Even though they were right behind, they could hear my name. And when the program started, I started with the program that I designed, and I'd say, Bob, we had a brief conversation. How do you feel about what I just said? And I would make another point. And I'd say, Tom, you look like you could figure it. So anyway, I went through the whole name. So I was speckling the names in. On the first break, guy comes up to me and says, you know something? I went to this event one time, and this guy called me.
Okay, hold it. The story didn't need the accent. When I tell Shondell's story, I don't throw in some player from Brooklyn.
Wait a minute.
Tom's just a dude.
Come on, please. Let me just do one accent. I know it won't be pretty, guy. Guy, let me just do the one. I won't do the second one. I won't do the second one, but let me do the first one.
Thank you very much, because the second accent probably was ended by a spit into a tune under a bar or something.
Wait a minute, you're such a smarty pants. Hold on, let me get this first one out. He said, I've come to a lot of events like this. Right. And he said, I tried to clean it up a little bit, guys. Wait a minute. He said, a little less accent. And he says, and the speaker there was supposed to remember everybody's names. And he called off 200 names. And every time it came to me and called me, he would call me Jeff. But my name ain't Jeff. My name is Jed. We ain't wearing no name tags. You coming here, and I hear you calling us by our names. He goes, I am so glad that I'm here. Now this makes me feel so special that you know all of our names and we ain't even wearing no name tags. And you know what? That event was powerful just because of your piece, building people before projects. I wanted to connect and build with those people before I left them with any message. So tell me what you think about that, Shondell. Then poor guy had to drop his head because he couldn't handle that accent the whole time.
No, I'm right. First of all, I wanted to know what's the Hawthorne accent. That's the one I want to hear. I want to hear the Hawthorne, Nevada.
Okay,
accent.
hear it.
Wait a second. There's no boundaries to Hawthorne, Nevada.
You know what, Guy? You're such a smarty pants. Again, since Guy called out, no boundaries. I'll give you a quick brief of a Hawthorne accent. In Hawthorne, Nevada, we speak with a vernacular much like this, so we're understood. How's that?
That's exactly right. Hoping somebody will come take me out of this. I know. I got it.
You know what? Just so you know, Guy, Hawthorne people are on this call right now. They're listening to you. They might find you if you tell on them like that.
I promise, a really easy person to find, and I'll take them to the one McDonald's they have in their town there.
Oh,
we'll break bread.
And you know what? That one McDonald's they have in the town wasn't there when I was a kid. It came after I left.
Yep. And you know what? Martin Harris probably built it.
Yeah,
right. No, but we did work did some work at a geothermal farm out there, and right after it opened, we were out at out for a client building a geothermal farm, and we did support it. But
wow.
We didn't build it.
Wow. But team, so let's talk about this. You have some key points there, Guy, and I want to get right into this. navigating business through these tumultuous times. Yes, the truth of the matter is these are tumultuous times, but this isn't the first time in our lives that we've had tumultuous times. What say you about that? What do you want to share about that, Guy?
So, in my experience, what we're experiencing right now is like a great equalizer, right? It's touching everybody.
Good point. Good point.
The size of your bank account does not insulate you from this.
No.
The number of people you have in your company doesn't insulate you from this. The number of people you have in your household doesn't insulate you from this. Candidly, it's much the inverse of that. The bigger your bank account, the more scared you are.
Wow.
Because you have this history, right? The more people that work in your company, the more worried you are.
Yes.
And it's our company. And here's the best example of the inverse. Our company consumes $50 million a month of work. Okay. So think about that for a second.
That's big.
In order for us to sustain life, I have to be able to go out, and a team here has to be able to go out and find and replace that work every month.
Wow.
We're going into month 3, I think, now of complete uncertainty.
Yes.
But when you peel that onion back, regardless of the company and the industry and stuff, I think as the leader, and sometimes I use kind of interchange the word leader and entrepreneur.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times in small business, the entrepreneur thinks they have to be the leader.
Right.
And sometimes they're not good at it.
That's right.
And so that moment of honesty where all of a sudden the light bulb comes on and goes, maybe I'm not the right person to lead my company through this program. I'm the entrepreneur. I still am working within my gift. I still love what I do. I still love the service we provide.
Right.
I still love everybody we do it for. But, hey, I may not be the strongest leader to lead through this, and having the courage to reach out and have that aha moment,
right,
and ask for help, right?
Nice.
It's funny. Life and business are a lot alike.
Oh, tons.
And there is a stark contrast between strength and courage. Okay, and Shondell's heard me say this 100 times. This is a guyism you can jot down, or it'll be recorded. But the difference between strength and courage is being able to take a punch and then ask somebody to help you get up.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That's
being
big.
Strong.
Yep.
Being strong is taking a punch.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay? Being courageous is knowing when you're too beat up to get up on your own.
I love what you just said, Guy. I never equated being courageous with asking for help. And so I'm glad you brought that in. One of the biggest, the most difficult thing that I had struggled with, I am not struggling with it anymore, over the full length of my working career, starting working at age 10, setting pins at the bowling alley in Hawthorne, Nevada. Okay.
And there was only one alley. You're good.
And that's closed now. but from that job all the way up to what I currently do, as you say, as an entrepreneur and a leader, the most difficult thing for me to learn, and I learned it the hard way, and I had to learn it from Lisa Farrell, and it took her 10 years to get me to learn it, to ask for help.
Yep. But you know what's important, Jess and Guy? The one thing you have to do, and Guy and I've talked about this many times, is you have to surround yourself with great people. Right?
Yes.
And you can't feel threatened by those people around you. I think, that's one of the challenges that we have as humans, is we have this ego where we want to be the smartest person in the room. But for me, I'm the opposite. I want people who are much smarter than I am. And what that means is you have to have the humility to understand that, people are going to be smarter than you in many different ways, right? And so that gives you the opportunity to grow. So if you do take a punch in one area, your corner man can come in. That's why a fighter has all those guys in the corner. He has all those guys. He has a great cut man. He has a guy who's yelling and screaming at him to, keep fighting, get up, do this. And then you got the doctor. You got all these people in the corner because they are there to support you. But they have a specialty and a gift that you might not have.
No, you're 100%. You're 100% right, Shondell. And Guy, check it out. Shondell's right, but I think there's a litter of people that are affected with not asking for help or not wanting to ask for help. And here, my story was a little different. You're right. I think there's a lot of people out there like you. What you just said, Shondell. Mine was that I did not want to put anybody out by asking for help. But how do I know I'm putting you out? Why am I deciding that for you? How is it
Right.
that there may be people that are looking to want to help me in certain circumstances, but
Right.
I wasn't allowing it because I didn't want to put them out. I was making that decision for them. What are your thoughts about that, Guy?
Well, I always go back to, we were only put on this earth knowing how to love and how to breathe.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. Jealousy, anger, all the ists and isms that we're dealing with in our world and our culture right now, they're all taught.
Right.
Right. So it all goes back to choices.
Yes.
One of the things that always trips me up when people are asking about how do you become humble and what's the key to the whole thing. And it's really weird because if I just set you down in the room and I said, okay, Jess, what I need you to do is at the count of 5, I want you to do humble. Okay. And I wanted you to take that adjective and make it a verb. The same thing with our core values and our business, the whole thing. I want you to make our core values a verb. How do you do it? Typically, the easiest way to do humble is by lifting someone else up. If I in some of the talks I do and in some of the conversation I do here we have a quarterly town hall where 20 people are randomly chosen out of a hat of the 90 that are in the office, and they get to come just ask me anything.
Nice.
I'm not smart enough to remember the last lie, so it's all going to be the truth.
Right.
And so one of the things that comes up is the difference between pride and ego.
Nice.
Pride requires someone else participating. Pride demands that I'm proud of Shondell, I'm proud of Jess, and in that profession, I've humbled my own position.
Right.
So humility isn't something that you look in the mirror and go, you're going to be humble today.
Right.
It doesn't work. But I can look in the mirror and go, you know what? The first 4 people that I touched today are going to be changed. And I'm going to make them better. And
Yep.
A lot of times when you get to this point of where sincerity.
Yes.
Sincerity is the cornerstone to the whole thing.
Yes, it
if
is.
I'm not sincere in my ask for help, and if I'm not sincere in my offer of help, I scorn people.
Right.
And each time I do that, it's another layer on that scar, another layer on that scar, and another layer on that scar, until what happens? You can't even see and recognize the original wound.
Yep.
And so we're dealing with the scars that are layered on and layered on and layered on, and never addressing the wound.
Wow. You know what
Yep.
you just said? You remind me of
the pain comes from the wound, guys. The pain comes from the wound, not from the scar.
Wow. You
Right.
know what you said? That's brilliant what you said. Paulo Coelho said it, that paraphrases what you said. He says, the scars hurt more deeply than the sword that caused them.
Yeah.
Because to your point, they're not dealing with the scar. They're letting the scars get out there and tell the story. The sword is what caused it, but they're moved away. They let the scars stay with them. To your point, instead
Yes.
of cleaning and clearing that up. Shondell, you have a point you want to take off from
No,
Guy's
you know
point
what?
there?
And you guys are right on. And this is one of the things that, on our topic today, how do you deal with tumultuous times, right?
Right.
So what did Dr. King say? The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in times of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. And you've heard me say this many times, Jess. People have to expect that there will be challenge and controversy. I don't care if it's COVID-19. I don't care if it's a hurricane. I don't care what it is. You have to expect that there will be challenges and controversy. And it's how you deal with it.
You're
And it's
100%
how
right.
you deal with people during challenge and controversy.
You're 100%
And so
right.
if you're going to have a business that survives, and both of us have survived the last Great Recession, and I'll tell you how we survived the last Great Recession is because my daughter called me from Africa and said, hey, Dad, you know what? I know you're going through some tough times. Grandpa just passed away, and we have to keep this thing going, and I don't want you alone in that journey, right? My son Thomas said the same thing. Dad, I want to help you out with the business. It is something that really, really touched me. So now it goes beyond the numbers. it goes beyond the transaction of customer and this and that.
Right.
It is something that is legacy driven. So now it fuels me. You see that fuel inspiration behind you?
Right.
I got inspired by a message from God through my children.
Right.
That we have to keep this going because Grandpa loved this so much that we were doing something as a family that was constructive.
Right.
That's all my dad cared about. You are doing something that is constructive, that is going to help your community, that is actually going to really be an inspiration to Americans, but more importantly for my father, because of where he came from.
Right.
He wanted Black Americans to see inspiration through our family. So when people talk about how do you rebound or recover or grow your business through tumultuous times, you got to find that something that inspires you. That's something that goes beyond the transaction and goes above and beyond the money.
I like that. That's powerful. What do you think about what he just said, Guy? What are your thoughts?
You know, he hit on a word that I have trigger words, and I tell stories all the time, and I speak in pictures. Okay,
I like that.
But the biggest thing that I would say that Shondell hit on that really burns with me, and him and I have spoke about it at length, is are you living your legacy?
Right.
So as a leader and an entrepreneur in tumultuous times, the number one advice I would give everybody that's going through all this trauma and drama, are you living your legacy?
Right.
That should never change. Now, I have people walk into my office all the time. Oh man, what happens if the economy crashes? What happens if this goes on? What happens if we're only, we're 600 million this year? What happens if we're only 200 million next year? You know what I tell them? I go, I have an org chart in my bottom right-hand desk drawer that tells me what our company looked like, living our best core values, living and taking care of building people and doing amazing work for amazing clients at 200 million. I already know what that looks like. I've already experienced that contraction and I learned from it.
Nice.
So I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to be distracted by it. I can stay in the middle lane and live my legacy.
I love that. I love it. Let me ask something. Is there a connection, Guy, between living your legacy and living your purpose or calling, the thing that you're very best at? Is there a connection between those two things, or is that different to you?
So, I'll say this. For me, I have adult ADHD. So for me, my life is 24 hours consecutively. I don't have a work me and a home me.
Okay.
My brain doesn't compartmentalize like that. So for me, it's the whole thing, right? I have lived I'm 51 now. So probably up until the time I was 48, my dad absolutely grounded in my brother and I's head that you have to work in your passion. You have to be passionate, blah, blah, blah. Not true. Not true.
Okay.
I'm here to dispel that.
Wow.
The great and mystical philosopher of our modern day times, the comedian Steve Harvey, says that the Bible never talks about working in your passion. It says work in your gift.
Okay.
If you work in your gift,
yes,
it's never a hard day's work, ever.
Yes.
Okay.
The gift is that thing in your life you're the best in the world at with the least amount of effort.
Wow. Yes. See, people need to hear that. People need to hear that because I love what you're saying. So what you're saying, Guy, is what you're saying to all of us and those folks that are listening. I hope people are chiming in, or Lisa can bring us some feedback. So if you're listening or watching this, please share your thoughts with us because I love what Guy's saying. Because we say it this way, you want to, no matter where you're at, find a way to determine what are your very best gifts and talents. We call that, we actually call that PGT. So we created something that helps you find out what are your very best gifts and talents. And when you discover that, you know what happens? You do what Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who wrote the book called Flow, you get yourself in a flow. And when you're in a flow, time falls off the clock. Lisa literally has to come in and say, you need to take a break. You need to get something to eat. You need to go to the bathroom because I'm in such a flow when I'm creating or designing, a workshop or a keynote or looking at a coaching program for a client, whatever it is, because I'm in my zone my legacy It's being supported by me using my very best gifts and talents. And I have no sense of time when I'm doing that.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like work. It is work, but it doesn't feel like work, to your point, Guy.
So one of the greatest, most liberating things I actually had a psychologist tell me, take 60 days
Yeah.
and live your life 24 hours at a time.
Right.
Okay. Everything goes into, I have one cell phone.
Okay.
I don't have a personal cell phone or work cell phone. I have one phone. I
Right.
have one calendar.
Right.
I have
Yep.
all my work, all my personal
Yep.
stuff is in one calendar.
Yep.
And what I found is it was liberating, because when I work in my gift of building people,
Doesn't change.
it happens everywhere.
Yes.
I walk into the Grits Cafe over next to Shondell's office, and when they and I have an interaction, because I always like to be customer number one. I hope they start opening at 7 a.m. again if they're listening. 8 o'clock is like noon in Guy World. 7 a.m. I love being customer number one.
Yeah.
And I walked in there and I said, this is the one place I know if I walk in first, I'll always be number one.
Why?
Yeah.
And we just, that dialogue just opens up. And are you meeting Shondell today? No, he's too good to meet with me more than once a month. That's always the question. I mean, but in that building up of people, right? Because let's be straight. When I walk into Grits, it's not just another customer, it's different.
Right.
Okay, it's different.
Right.
And I openly accept the fact that it's my job to make it all right. It's me. I get to boost people up. I get to fix shit
Yes.
in that moment.
I love that.
That's why I'm there.
I love that. Is so awesome to hear you say that. What you're practicing, you don't call it that. You have your own guyisms and so forth, but you're practicing what we call the how you leave them feeling concept. Shondell, please take it from there. What is that concept?
You know, that concept is really about how people actually, and it takes a special, really a thought process of caring about other people more than yourself.
Yes.
Right. So even talking about how you leave them feeling. So again, Jess, I will tell you that Ken Evans and I yesterday had one of the greatest meetings we would ever have with a corporation. And one of the things that they've told us is, when I first joined the Urban Chamber till now, it is totally different. And here's what I told Ken.
What's that?
We changed the attitude and the brand, starting with how you leave them feeling.
Yes.
And once we thought about how do people feel when they touch the Urban Chamber, that was the first thing we thought about 8 years ago, even before we hired Ken. We had to change a philosophy. And that is really the brand. The brand is how you leave them feeling.
Wow.
And so one of the things that I know, because we do a lot of projects together with Martin Harris, is our teams collectively go into a project saying, how will people feel after this project is completed? We don't go in first and foremost talking budgets and all that. Now, that's a part of the process. Don't get me wrong. That the budgets, the money, everything is part of the process. But our major goal is for the convention center, how will the end product make people feel?
Wow.
How will people feel when this project is done? And so and as a matter of fact, our first meeting our first meeting was all about feeling.
Right.
We didn't even talk contracts. We were just like, hey, dude, I feel this way. I feel this way. We cried a little. And you know what? Our teams, and they're probably watching this podcast and probably watching Facebook Live, but they laugh at us and tease us all the time because of our bromance, right? So
It ain't even our teams now. It's your other clients are accusing us. Your other clients are like, so where's your brother at?
No, that's
I'm out at lunch. Somebody walks up and goes, where's your brother at?
Yeah.
I go, who, Jared? And they go, no,
Wow.
Shondell, your other one.
No,
Like,
that is so powerful. That's so powerful. Team, let me do a quick switch on you, because this goes back to Guy too. I appreciate that, Sean. That was awesome. As you know, we created this virtual offering called the Breakthrough Success Plan. You can see it behind me here. And we had a couple graduates recently say something that reminds me of what Guy just said. I didn't get permission to use her name, so I won't use her name. but she was on the Breakthrough Success Plan 9-week, 9-module course. And I got this from her yesterday. It said this: the Breakthrough Success Plan, I will toot your horn. Sorry. So this person was in corporate America, and corporate America is doing its figuring out. So rather than keep waiting, she decided she's going to launch into the space of being an entrepreneur. And she said this: the Breakthrough Success Plan, I will toot your horn because you were instrumental in this decision. Without your Breakthrough Success Plan course, I don't think I would have ever have imagined to do something like this. It's a big leap of faith, but I'm ready and open for the opportunities and challenges to come. She got that from being on the 3rd week of the Breakthrough Success Plan. I didn't tell her to start her own business. I didn't tell her to become an entrepreneur. She began to discover that by doing the purpose, gifts, and talents, she believed that PGT I told you about, that she discovered something in herself that she didn't even know was there. What say you on that one, Guy? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think your environment conditions you to see your talents.
Yes. Whoa. Say that again. Say that again. That's huge.
Your environment conditions you to see your talents and gifts.
Wow.
And look, it's real simple. That basketball, football coach that saw something in you that brought it out of you that you didn't know you had.
Yep.
And forever you celebrate that person.
Right.
In that's all business is. That's all entrepreneurship is. That's all building people over projects concept is. Okay, is the fact that I see more in you than you see in you, and all I want to do is just give you a platform and give you and just let you run.
That is so huge.
It's that in my mind is the big thing. Shondell, you brought up Ken Evans and the Urban Chamber, and I'm gonna take just 2 seconds. I'm gonna throw a plug in here because Ken and Guy had a couple of moments of pretty passionate fellowship. We come from 2 vastly different worlds, even further apart than Shondell and I. Okay. Ken and I struggled to find that thing that stitched us together. With Shondell and I, it was family, it was faith, family, career. Nice. And we agreed on those 3, and that's what slammed us together. Okay. And sparks flew, everything was great. Okay. Ken and I struggled. We really, really struggled. And one day, sitting in my boardroom, after we went down this path, we talked about Martin Harris joining the Urban Chamber and all the things the Urban Chamber can bring. And I'd met with a group of people, and then it just got down to me and Ken. Okay. And I told Ken, I'll make you a deal. Martin Harris Construction will join as a corporate member of the Urban Chamber of Commerce if you will show me for the next year advocacy and not activism. You show me for the next year how the Urban Chamber builds small business from a place of hard work, gifts, and talents and not entitlement, and I'm in. Nice. And I said, and I'll go one step further with that, and I will make myself available personally. I'll teach any class. I'll talk on any subject. I will do anything you want me to do for that year. And you show me that. And what that was the thing that changed the way I felt about seeing Ken Evans across the room at a function. It's the thing that changed the way I felt about going over to the Urban Chamber's office. It was the thing that changed the way I felt about walking into a room of minority small businesses, being a white guy running a large business, right? Right. Very different contrast. Very different contrast. That thing that changed was the intentionality around being an advocate. And that, in my mind, in these tumultuous times, intentionality and being absolutely deliberate with every step are like the stepping stones for leaders and entrepreneurs. But Ken Evans took that challenge on sitting in my boardroom, and 1 year to the day that we had that meeting, I signed my agreement and cut the Urban Chamber a check, and I joined proudly. And we have been helping in any way possible. We're even I'm teaching a class actually through that the Urban Chamber's supporting on Monday. We are there. We are sold out to the advocacy that the Urban Chamber provided. Can I jump in there and tell you how powerful that is, what you just said? I hope the listeners are getting this. These are not just words coming out of Guy's mouth, Shondell. He practices what he preaches. You and I
in our world of seeking to do it best for everybody, we did an event, a live broadcast podcast at Martin Harris. It was called Breakfast and Conversations.
Yeah.
Shondell and I didn't bring the breakfast. We didn't think about it. We get there and a lead. I don't know the leader on your team, but there's a leader on your team says we'll get the breakfast. I'm thinking they can't. We can't let them get the breakfast. They're already giving us the room in this space. Your team.
Austin and Colton.
Say their names.
Austin and Colton.
Austin and Colton left and went out and bought breakfast to bring in for two knuckleheads that are doing breakfast and conversations and don't bring the breakfast for the food. And we were already using your facility.
The name of the show was actually your agenda. And you skipped the first one. That's all right. We won't point that out. You can cut that part out.
Right. But that's what I mean. You guys, you're teaching your team to support exactly this belief system that you're talking about, that you connected with Ken Evans on, and it's very, very powerful. And that's what your earlier quote that was so powerful about the people you surround yourself with was very magical too. I hope people go back and rewind that, because that was powerful. When I was writing this book, How You Lead Them Feeling, there's a lady by the name of Cher Weldon. She lives in Texas. She was a client. She was actually on the success coaching as a personal professional development for about 13 years, okay, and kept growing and growing and growing. Well, she's a wonderful, she's very good with writing and all that sort of stuff. So I had a professional copy editor do the copy editing in Vancouver, Canada, and it was a little more technical than I sound. So Cher Weldon and Ann Lee copy edited the copy editor. And she got to this passage. She says, she says, you forgot to put the name on this quote. I go, what quote? She goes, this quote. I go, I don't know what quote you're talking about. And what it said was, I had written, be careful of the company that you keep, because your quality of life depends on it. And I didn't realize how powerful that was. Cher Weldon says, no, that is a quote. So we pulled it out and made it a quote. But to me, it was just a point. Like, you're saying this so matter-of-factly, Guy, but your point is spot on. Be careful of the company that you keep, because your quality of life depends on it. And even though I wrote that, Cher Weldon was the one that championed that, because I didn't see it as a quote. I was just saying it. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I just want to jump in real quick, Jess, because here's what's important, man, is that when you even talk about the breakfast, and that might be a minor thing, but that comes from the top, right? And what I was saying is, like, from Frank down to Guy, one of the things, not just in business or in things like that, what Guy and I noticed is, we share a lot of the same views. And Guy, to his credit, said, hey, you know what? Shondell talks about his father all the time. And I remember Frank commented on one of my posts, and he said, man, your father was a great man. And that really, really touched me. But not only that, but, Guy was like, hey, I want you to join in on the joy that I have fellowshipping with other men on the mountain who are Christian men. And just because he probably was paying attention, he noticed that I needed that. I needed a space where I could get away from everything else and go to this mountain. And I want to say, during that week, something weird happened and tried to stop me from going on that trip. But we said, I'm going. We're going to make this happen. We spent 3 days of great fellowship, no interruptions. And I'll tell you that it fueled me for a very, very long time and kept me moving into a space. I was telling one of my employees the other day in a one-on-one, you have to surround yourself with people who can lift you up, who can help you grow, who can help you be better than you were the day before. Yes. And I'll tell you, this man does that with me. We even sometimes it's a text message. Hey, brother, listen to this song. Hey, brother, I love you, man. Make sure you focus on this. Right. We keep reminding each other, because the Bible says what? Iron sharpens iron. So we believe in that wholeheartedly. And I tell people, you got to surround yourself with people like that.
No, that's huge. That's huge. Jump in there, Guy.
Jump in on one thing here, because you bring up something. What most people don't understand about this, that you and I know it's scripture, right? But even people out in the secular world, they talk about iron sharpening iron. What they don't actually stop long enough to recognize is that it is a violent process.
Yes.
It involves intense heat.
Yes.
It
Preach,
involves
brother.
uncomfortable situations
Yes.
and horrible environments that are dirty. And there is no way that sword is ever. Do you know when you heat up steel and you hit it with a hammer and all the sparks fly?
Right.
Everybody's like, "Oh, the steel's flying out of it." No, that is the impurities.
Wow.
That's what's leaving the steel. That's
Wow.
the actual metallurgy of what is happening. Is I am hitting the steel so hard with force and fire that the impurities cannot exist.
Wow.
So that what I end up with at the end is stronger and flawless.
Wow.
Okay, and that is what people need to understand. That fact is what happens in these small business communities. That fact is what happens when you go join the Urban Chamber or the Minority Contractors Association, or you get in community with other people. That is what iron sharpens iron. You don't have to be a Bible thumper running around quoting scripture to get that.
No.
It's a violent, heat-intensive, dirty process to become your most pure self.
I love that. That's
And
huge.
It is huge.
No.
And right now, this is what's strange. So this is a business talk about tumultuous times, right? And
right.
I would appreciate it for the dude from Hawthorne. Shorter words next time. Okay. Managing your business through shitty situations. That one I get. I had to look up tumultuous. The thing I want to ask everybody in the small business world to just take a breath and think about. That one mentor, that one coach, that one person that put you over the hump of the obstacle you never thought you could achieve. And when somebody comes up and goes, Shondell, how'd your business get all the way to here? Jess, how did your business get all the way to here? And that one person that you mentioned, in your lowest moment, have you called them?
Ooh, I like that.
They're still your coach.
I like that.
And that's that humble versus ego. Because you got to get out of self to pick up the phone and go, I did 5 million last year. I did 2 million this year. I did only a 10,000 this month because of COVID. I think I'm losing it.
Right.
Why wouldn't you call the same dude?
Right. Do it.
Why wouldn't you call the same person?
You know what? I love that.
Your ego's in the way.
No, I love that. And something, the glue that can stick with what both you and Shondell are saying, and I totally 100% agree with you, both of you. Extremely well said by both of you. Is I say it this way: you will be the same person you are today 10 years from now, except for the books that you read, the people that you meet, and what you do about your own life experiences. If you're not cognizant and be in the moment like you're talking about what's going on in your life, you're not going to change. You're not going to evolve. If you don't keep connecting and stand around people like the Shondells, like the guys of the world, like the Ken Evans of the world, these people that you're talking about, if you don't continue like the Lisa Farrells of the world, if you don't continue to connect with people that know stuff that you don't, that bring stuff that you don't, that can provide things that you cannot before connecting with them, you're going to be the same person 10 years from now. Nothing's going to be different.
Well, hey, Jess, you know what I'll tell you, man, is I remember when I was receiving an award or some recognition for being one of the most influential African-Americans in Southern Nevada, something of that nature. I invited Guy, and Guy came out and he walked through all of the different displays. And then he told me afterwards, he said, man, you know what? I learned something today about the city I grew up in, all of these amazing people. And what's interesting about all of that is, you know, we have some amazing people and stories untold, and we're just normal people trying to do extraordinary things in our community to help other people. We're not looking for recognition, but I know he was very emotional and very proud of his city for this recognition and what we were trying to do. And we were trying to build people more than tear people apart, which is another big key. And you know, I shared with you guys earlier this week that Guy sent me a song that Most People in the World Are Good by what's his name? The artist Luke Bryan. Yeah. And that song just basically says, you know, everybody loves their mom. Everybody loves, football games on Friday nights. Everybody loves what they love. And most people in this world are good. And what we were talking about at that event was how we need to do more of this. We need to do more celebrating people from all walks of life, because a person like Guy Martin, who grew up in this town, learned something about people. People who we play in the same space. Like, we got Councilman Creer, who grew up in the same neighborhood. I think they said blocks from each other.
Yep.
And to have a discussion about growing up in Las Vegas, it's amazing when you can bring people together and we can have this beautiful dialogue.
Well, let me ask you something, Shondell. I'm hoping this doesn't hurt your feelings, and I definitely don't want to make Guy blush. But Guy, I'm going to be just like you when I grow up.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's powerful,
Well,
Shondell.
all I can say though,
to
Jess,
Guy's credit,
here's the one thing I would say. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I don't know your life. You're a glorious collision of different experiences than me. If I'm one more piece
Right.
So
Yes.
I was working with a psychologist one time, and the way she described life was a cake.
Yep.
Okay. And when you're born, your parents each take a scoop of cake starter out of their batter and they drop it in a bowl. And at that moment, you start mixing in your own.
Right.
And you go to the cabinet that your parents gave you, and the ingredients that you get to use to season or to add to your cake to make it taste a certain way is the same seasonings they were using.
Right.
So as you grow up, you start realizing your cake tastes just like your dad's cake. Well, if you didn't like your dad's cake, then you got to go to another cabinet.
Right.
So all you're doing through mechanisms like this podcast, through mechanisms like your teaching and through experiences with one another, dude, this event is another sprinkle in my cake batter.
Yes.
And until it tastes the way I want it to taste,
Right.
or the way God would have it taste,
Right.
I'm continuing to look. I'm continuing to search.
Stay open. Stay aware.
Absolutely. Because
Nice.
there's so many people that they add all the ingredients in that are in their mom and dad's cabinet, and then they sit back for 10 years and go, why am I the same screw up my old man was?
Right.
Why am I having the same problem that all the kids in my neighborhood were having with drug addiction, anger, activism? Why am I having all these ists and isms pouring into my life? It's because that's the only thing that was in your cabinet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Go
Wow.
to a different store.
Wow.
Go to a different store.
Wow.
Get some different ingredients.
Wow.
Make it taste different.
Go to a different store is an analogy for invite and involve people in your world
Yes.
that speak different language, that come from different regions, that have different levels of education or street knowledge or whatever it is. It's that potpourri of combinations of eclectic building continually through our whole lives, not just one time.
Jess, my
The
father
word I
used to
use,
say this
John
all
Dale's
the
heard
time.
me say this 100 times. Glorious collision.
Glorious
Glorious
collision.
When in the world have you ever celebrated a wreck?
Well,
It happens.
yeah.
It happens. But you may meet a special person through a terrible situation. You may change another person's life through a terrible situation. I'm not saying that this glorious collision is always easy or fun.
No.
Neither is being tempered. Neither is the iron analogy. Neither is any of that. The flip side is most entrepreneurs believe that being an entrepreneur has to be hard.
No.
Okay. I have another mantra when I do speaking engagements and I mentor and talk with small businesses. If it's hard, you're doing it wrong.
Wow.
You can't be a company of 5 people and struggle every day with what you think your job is.
Right.
If you struggle every day, it's because you suck at it and shouldn't do it. You should get somebody else. Being the entrepreneur, being the leader in the company lets you pick your job description.
Right.
Yeah.
Celebrate that.
Right.
Celebrate.
I sit
Have fun
with
with
a
it.
ton of small businesses who the entrepreneur's just like, I'm exhausted. This is freaking hard. And when you start asking them, what makes you tired? What makes you exhausted? What makes it so hard? It's because they ain't doing what they're good at.
Right. Right. Very, very well said. I like that. That's so spot on. I want to, Shondell, I'm going to turn over to you to weigh in on what Guy just said. Before I do, I want to say a quick announcement. We actually have the virtual the virtual breakthrough success breakfast. The next one is going to be August 13th. And doing that connected with the chamber, so I want people to know that. And Lisa asked me to make sure I put that in there. But from what Guy just said, he said a mouthful that's so, so powerful. If people that are listening or watching this program take on that last thing that Guy said, their lives, no matter where they're at, will elevate 180 from where they're at. If they just practice what he just said. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, and it's absolutely true, because I don't have a bad day. Everybody keeps asking, why you keep saying the day is great? I said, because I make it great, because that's what entrepreneurship is all about. And one of the things that I'll share with when I talk about the Breakthrough Success Plan, which is part of the Urban Chamber now, is because we want people to figure out what Guy and I are talking about. Really, in order for you to understand how to get to that space and what you're good at, you have to have some self-actualization.
Right.
You have to think, you have to look at yourself, and you have to be willing to give feedback to yourself. One thing that I know that we all do is we look at ourselves and say, how can I be better?
Right.
How can I make my life even better? And some of the things that Guy touched on that is important for people to understand. For us, yes, there is no real separation from what we do and how we do it from work, right? And I just want to be clear, and that's why we jive so well. So if you look to the left of me is pictures of my father-in-law, me and my dad and my wife, and that's family there. Behind me are my grandchildren, and on the other side are my kids and all of their sports and their trophies and all that. So when I put together my office, I didn't put my office with inspirational quotes and things like that. What I really did was surround myself with my family. And over here, I got my Bible. Up here, I got pictures of images of great African Americans. There are things that inspire you. And if you wake up in an environment of inspiration, then you go nowhere but up from there. But I've seen so many people wake up in the first thing in the morning, Jess, they're like, boy, life sucks. Everybody's Garfield, right? I hate Mondays. I don't understand that, because I pull energy from everything around me. Like, you have to pull energy. I wake up in the morning, my first conversation is with God. My first thing is walking. Everybody, I do my walks and I talk to people while I'm walking in the neighborhood, because I understand that all this stuff is around us. I understand there's racism around us. I understand there are killers around us. I understand there are drug addicts around. I understand there are drug dealers around us. I grew up in that environment in New York City, and what I refuse to do is walk through and allow that to dictate my life. And that's what my father used to tell us all the time. Do not allow the situation around you to change you. You be the change you want to see.
Right. You become the change agent.
You make everybody else step into your space. So whether you're in social media, whether you're in person, whether you're talking to, you should be consistent. I don't care what political views you have, what difference of opinion you have. We are all still people. We cut blood red. We have the same, we believe in the same things. What has happened is people have decided that they're going to change how you think. And I never allow anybody to rent space in my mind.
Well, what you just said comes from South Africa as well. Ingamuntu. People are people because of others. So you're 100% right. We are all people, and we are people because of others, the people we surround ourselves with. Guy, we're about ready to close the program. This might be a little pressure. I don't want to put pressure on you. So if you can change how you answer it if it feels that way. Those people listening right now, we're talking about navigating business through tumultuous times. And I love your building people before projects. I love that. So if you could give just one piece of advice for those listeners, whether they're business owners or they're workers that are out of work right now because of the challenges of the global circumstances that are happening, what one single piece of advice would you give to our listeners, people listening to this program, that they can do to put themselves in a much better place regardless of what's going on around them?
So, first off, again, I wanted to say just thank you for having me this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched you guys. I've wanted in. I really dig what you guys do, the energy and everything. I wanted in, and I haven't figured out how to say it, but all I had to do was pray, right? So I'm going to get deep for just a second.
Okay.
There's a song out there, and Most People Are Kind by Luke Bryan is the one that Shondell talked about. I want your listeners, I want everybody listening to this to look up a song called Fear is a Liar.
Okay. Fear is a liar.
And if you're not a faith-based person, I am even great with that because the lyrics are the message. You can find and replace God in this. You can do whatever you want. I want entrepreneurs to understand that gut feel, that worry is a liar. You are able to navigate this. You are able to fix it. You are able to live through it. You are able to ask for help. You are able to go seek out your coach. You are able to hire people. You are able to make a living. You are able to be successful. That fear is a liar. That fear is what keeps the courageous, or keeps a coward from becoming courageous. That fear is what keeps a victim from becoming victorious. That fear is what keeps an activist from becoming an advocate. That fear is the single biggest thing in these times that you have to absolutely cut out like a cancer out of your speech, out of your self-talk, out of your business plan, out of the way you drive your car, out of the way you pull into the gas station. Put $20 in, not $10 in your gas tank, because you're going to make $20 in your next sales call.
Right.
Okay? Don't be scared.
Right.
Because when you go back and you have to put $3 back in of the 10, you're going to prove yourself right. It's easier to be wrong.
Right.
So you have to wrestle this fear giant to the ground.
Well said. Bravo. You know what? And the fear part that you...
Hey, I would drop this mic, but it cost me too much money.
Oh, wait a minute. You need a mic drop? Here you go.
There you go.
I gotta give me a mic. I don't like mic. It's one of these.
But Guy, what you said is priceless. There are many, many, many people out there that are scared and living in fear. F-E-A-R. And Shondell and I know that F-E-A-R, when you ask most people what they're afraid of, most of the time they can't tell you. The F-E-A-R stands for false expectations appearing real.
There you go. A whole nother segment on what are you giving permission to take you apart in your life.
Oh, say it again one more time.
What are you giving permission to take you apart in your own life?
Lisa's listening to this, and Lisa's going to put that down, and we're going to check your schedule and get with your people, and we're going to get you on the program again, and you're going to lead the parade on that one.
Look, it's a weird thing when you sit and talk to somebody. I hurt for people that don't think they control their life.
Yes. But Guy, you know why? Because people let the outside world and outside their lives talk to and control the inside. It's an inside game, brother.
Yep.
It's an inside game for all of us.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's always been that way. We can affect the outside with our inside push, but most of us let the outside determine what's going on that's backwards. It's not the way it's supposed to be.
Right now, God didn't put any one of us on this earth to affect the outside.
No, it's to do good on the inside.
Bingo. Yep.
Well said. Well, listen, the way we end this program, Guy, is so in tune with where you are, because I can tell that there's power in your conviction. I can't. In fact, I would love to come and have lunch with you, or you and the team, or you and your best folks, just to sit down and learn and listen to hear, because I love the way you think and how you do. In fact, I'm going to figure out how to, if I can't get it from you, I'm going to get it from your assistant, because once she puts it on your calendar, I know I'm in. So.
I ain't gonna lie. I tell people 20 times a day, right. I am not qualified to babysit guy.
Right.
It takes a whole nother level of talent.
That's really good. So,
you met Carolyn.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Carolyn.
yes.
That's it.
That young lady is unbelievable with what she can do.
We need more Carolyns and Lisas of the world, because if it wasn't for Lisa Farrell,
Give a shout out to Frankie.
and Frankie, yeah, Frankie for sure.
Right.
So shout out for Frankie. She keeps Shondell in check, so that's good. So let's do this, team. We know that leaving people in a certain way is certainly what we're all about, the three of us. And Shondell will close it for us. Shondell, we know the best way to think about what's going to be best for self and others is
how you leave them feeling.
That's it. That's a wrap. Bye. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye now.